I almost feel bad, almost feel bad dunking on this moron on a what seems like a twice to three times weekly basis, but then I think Fauci just wants the ability to lock everybody down and have the power that he so desperately craves in perpetuity that making fun of him, calling him out on his bullshit really doesn't, affect me anyways. And what we have here are some lawmakers finally realizing that, hey, that motherfucker right there, that puppet ass looking motherfucker, is really off his rocker. It only took them, a year and a half to finally come to this conclusion. Better late than never. Lawmakers call for Fauci's resignation or firing immediately amid COVID flip-flops. Representative Warren Davidson has proposed the FIRED Act. It's a very catchy name, and you gotta love when lawmakers have enough time to figure out different little acronyms or different little phrasing for their bills that they want to put out instead of the substance of them. But I do kind of like this one if we're living in that situation and there's no real stopping this practice anytime soon. Fauci's incompetence requires early dismissal. That's what FIRED stands for. How about the BIRD Act? Anyways, amid the Center for Disease Control Prevention's updated mask guidance and new information coming to light about the origins of COVID-19, which we will get into shortly, experts and Americans alike are questioning the credibility of those calling the shots throughout the pandemic, including the high-profile, the man who loves the camera more than Tess Holliday loves a chocolate cake, Dr. Anthony Fauci. The agency, CDC, has lost all credibility. Dr. Marty Malarkey, that would be so much better, but it's McCary. Fox News medical contributor. Okay, he's got to make those hyperbolic statements, but you know what everybody's thinking, so at least this guy fucking said it. And professor of public health policy. Just health policy and management at Johns Hopkins University of Public Health. Wow, so he's actually a pretty prestigious fellow. What he said, they have been consistently delinquent, misrepresenting COVID risk levels. The public sees through the CDC's flawed guidance on schools, travel, and summer camps that use the guise of science. Just follow the science. That's why 52% of Americans no longer trust the CDC. That's pretty damning. I know they suck. You know they suck. I didn't realize that 52% of Americans thought that they sucked. Dr. Brett Gior, the former White House Coronavirus Task Force testing czar and former Department of Health and Human Services Assistant Secretary, said the confusion surrounding CDC's new guidance is that they change on a bi-weekly basis. Oh no, as a result of awful communication and planning around the guidance, as well as a terrible choice of words, like you don't need masks if you're fully vaccinated outside or inside. I'd imagine that's about as clear as you can get. You just didn't realize that would mean that you'd be losing all of the power that you've accumulated over the past 16 months. Anyways, the real message is if you're vaccinated and not in a special group like the immunosuppressed, if you're immunosuppressed and you need to go get the vaccine and you get it, but yet at the same time you should still stay at home and be afraid and just wear your mask everywhere. What's the point of getting the vaccine to begin with? Oh, okay. Just thinking aloud. It is safe for you and others around you, for you, to be without a mask indoors, Gior said. But if you are in an area of significant disease or high-risk circumstance, considering going to your roof and diving headfirst off. Oh, no, I'm sorry. And you are not vaccinated, it is still safer to wear a mask than to not wear one. Thanks, Chief. And also invest in a fucking biodome and just live your life like Bubble Boy. On top of mistrust in the CDC, Fauci's credibility is wavering, some experts claim. I wouldn't just limit it to experts, but if you got the receipts here. He said he is not convinced COVID-19 developed naturally outside of a Wuhan lab, as reports came out that 3 Wuhan lab workers were diagnosed with COVID-like symptoms just before the official outbreak in China. And that's where we're going to pivot onto the new story, because thanks Fox News, except for your boring as fuck, Trump proclaims I was right, as Home Health Secretary urges WHO probe into Wuhan lab leak. Yes sir. Yes sir. In another instance of Trump being right, former President Donald Trump on Tuesday said he was right all along to pin COVID-19 pandemic on China, as the Biden administration called on the World Health Organization to begin a transparent, science-based investigation into the virus's origins. U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary Xavier Becerra, who looks like he's wearing Michael Vanderveen's suit, on Tuesday urged the WHO to launch a second investigation into the origins of the pandemic as the lab leak theory gains traction. Why don't you just send your own people over there? Because 33% of the WHO's budget is paid by China. So do you think that you're going to get a legitimate investigation out of that one? I would fucking beg to differ. Becerra said the video message that the international organization must conduct a transparent probe into the widely panned initial WHO review controlled by China. So what would you think of a second investigation conducted by the same people? It would be controlled by China too. That's why you need to send your own people. CDC is losing credibility. If you just want to boost their numbers, just send them over there and you fucking figure out the facts that you need. Which said the virus likely emerged naturally from animals. Yes, the bat soup market. God, when was the last time anybody fucking cracked that? Phase 2, the COVID origins study must be launched with the terms of reference that are transparent, science-based, and give international experts the independence to fully assess the source of the virus and in the early days of the outbreak, Becerra said. Trump in a statement said, "Now everybody is agreeing that I was right. I love being right. Most of the time I'm right. When I was very early on called Wuhan as the source of COVID-19, sometimes referred to as the China virus, mostly by me. One of my aides called it the Kung flu. I thought it was funny. Somebody called me on it. I didn't say it. I was just repeating what he or she said. To me, it was obvious from the beginning, but I was badly criticized, as usual. It's what I expect. It's what I get from the fake news. They never give me fair coverage. They give you great coverage, Joe. They give me bad coverage. It's all right. I'm used to it. Now they're saying he was right. God, it's been a minute since I've been able to bust that one out. The pandemic's epicenter being in or near Wuhan never was a serious point of contention, despite dubious statements from Chinese government spokespeople. But Trump drew fire for blaming China for the pandemic. Well, it came from China. That was never in dispute, except for by China saying that it was originating in the UK. That lasted for like a week, but Trump did not specifically endorse the lab leak theory while in office, but he said it was a possibility. Yeah, he says a lot of things are a possibility, and he also says, or predicates those assertions by saying haven't looked into it, or he'll finish up his statement with, I'll have to look at it. The Wall Street Journal reported this week that 3 employees in the Wuhan Institute of Virology fell so ill that they were hospitalized in November of 2019, but it didn't make North American landfall until, February? So, weird. Just before the first reported COVID-19 case, the article cited a previously undisclosed U.S. intelligence report. Kind of like how CNN magically, after the election and the inauguration happened, magically got undisclosed U.S. intelligence about Hunter Biden's laptop. Fucking weird. The Biden administration has been on the defensive about whether it's going to do enough to pressure China's authoritarian government to be transparent. Oh my fucking God. If you think that Biden's administration is going to do anything to try to hold Xi accountable, oh my God, I got some farmlands in Florida to sell you. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki on Tuesday fended off questions at her daily press briefing and only wanted to answer superfluous stuff like, when Joe Biden drives an electric truck, does it normally have a second steering wheel? And what kind of exercise equipment does he keep in the White House? Reporter Annie Linsky of the Washington Post asked Psaki, wouldn't there naturally be quite a curiosity within the Biden administration that this could have come from a lab? Nearly 600,000 people have died, and the president has shown an enormous amount of empathy for that. But this, just look at how many fucking weasel words. And the fact that it's just a yes or no question really offers up no insight into the thought process of Jen Psaki. I would word this completely different, but that's not my position either. And how much buttering up she needs to do for Biden. Like, he's never going to hear this. He doesn't know who you are. And even if you guys had met before, he won't remember who you are. But this should be the cause. It would seem that the United States would want to put some of its intelligence firepower on that question. Again, you didn't really answer or end with a question. You just had a whole bunch of slavering at the end of this. So are you guys going to send your own probe, your own investigative team over to Wuhan in order to figure out the origin of this? What's going to be the thought process behind trying to get to the bottom of the origins of the COVID outbreak? Psaki insisted the Biden administration is curious, but that the WHO would be the entity to investigate pandemic origins should China decide to be transparent. And they won't, and we'll never get a fucking answer to this, and it'll just be another one of those conspiracy theories that are out there that will never have proper quantifiable information, because by the time that a new administration comes in there in order to launch an investigation, oh yeah, all of that stuff will just be fucking burnt to the ground, or the Three Rivers Dam will just end up breaking, and Wuhan will just magically be swept away into the ocean, and nobody will be able to find out anything, and we'll probably be on to the new pandemic by then, because by the time 2024 runs around, oh boy, it'll be about time for some race riots and another pandemic, don't you think? I'm thinking so. But yeah, that's all we got for a COVID update. It looks like people are going to start looking into the lab leak theory. That Fauci's losing whatever's remaining of his credibility, and the CDC is about as reliable as a one-armed plate spinner or a tightrope walker with vertigo. With that said, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.